BCom Commerce Casting Methods, Features and Objectives of Process Casting, presented by A.K. Mekhala. Unit 3 Process Casting, Features and Objectives of Process Casting. We are going to discuss about the features of process casting in this session. Features casting can be treated as a cast center. That means each and every cast unit is treated as a cast center. The output of one process becomes the output of the next process. That means if the raw material of one process becomes the finished goods of one process becomes the raw material for the next process. That is, the first unit's output becomes the input for the next process. Next one, all total cost includes cost incurred in all processes till the completion of all the processes. Products and processes are standardized in process casting. That means we have already seen the finished goods and all the processes are finished goods are homogeneous. In the sense, the products are similar. The finished products are similar. So, according to that, the products and processes are standardized. They should not be changed. Standard, uniformity. They should maintain uniformity in process casting. Apart from that, there are some avoidable and unavoidable losses during the process of manufacture of a product in process manufacturing. So, there are some losses. Those losses can be avoidable to some extent, and sometimes even though human beings try to avoid that, some losses are unavoidable. Next one, the byproducts are simultaneously produced at one or more stages of manufacture by different products in manufacturing. Some products have byproducts, some products don't have byproducts. While manufacturing some products, we may have some byproducts. While manufacturing some products, we may not have byproducts. Like while manufacturing sugar, we have byproducts as jaggery, molasses, like that. Whereas in some products, we don't have any byproducts at all. So, simultaneously produced. We need not take some special effort to produce those byproducts. While manufacturing the main product, we get some other products as some other additional products as byproducts. Finished products are identical in process casting. That means finished products are similar. They are uniform in process casting. Next one is that production over having a continuous flow of identical products except where plant or manufacture or shut down for repairs, etc. Next one, clearly defined process cost centers and accumulation of all cost. Here the labor, materials, overheads by the cost center. Next one, the maintenance of accurate records of units and part units produced and cost occurred by each process. So the company has to maintain accurate records of the units and part units, the units produced, the finished goods produced, and the byproducts produced. Next one is that the finished product of each one process becomes the raw material. That this we have seen at the initially itself, and so on until the final product and obtains. This process keeps continuing. In the sense, raw material for the second product would be the finished product for the first product. In other words, finished product for the first process becomes the raw material for the second process. Apart from that, there are some avoidable and unavoidable losses usually arise at different stages of manufacture for various reasons. Treatment of normal losses and abnormal losses and gains are to be studied in this method of costing. We shall see next the objectives. Objectives, we have some of the objectives, that is, in order to find out the cost for a certain process and thereby find out the overall cost. First we have to find out for each and every process cost, then we have to add up, then finally we get the overall cost. In other words, for each and while producing a certain product, we will be having a lot of processes. For each and every process, how much cost the company has incurred. Add up all the cost, we will get the overall cost. That becomes the production cost for the overall cost for overall production. Second one is to determine the method of allocation of manufacturing cost incurred during a given product period. So the second objective is to determine the method of allocation of manufacturing cost. So for a certain period of time, we can find out what type of method can be we can adopt while allocation of manufacturing cost. Third one is to allocate accumulated materials, labor and overhead cost to process cost centers. For each and every process cost centers, how much cost is allocated for the materials and for the labor cost overheads and for the factory overheads, how much to allocate. Then only we can maximize our profit. In order to maximize the profit, we have to minimize our cost. So while minimizing our cost, we have to consider the material cost, we have to consider the labor cost, we have to find out the factory cost. So how much is to be allocated for each and every process, which department is very much, which process is very much essential, in which process we can minimize our cost. So how much is to be allocated for each and every processes, thereby minimizing our cost and thereby maximizing our profit without sacrificing our sales. So those things have to be analyzed in this case. And apart from that, we shall see some of the other extra features in this session. Sometimes goods are getting transferred from one process to another process, not at cost price but at transfer price. So this point to be remembered. So the goods are transferred from one process to another process, not at cost price but at transfer price. Just to compare this with the market price and to have a check on the inefficiency and losses occurring in a particular process. So thereby the company can find out where our inefficiency lies, where our loss lies. So to have a check on it, the company has to make an entry not at cost price but at transfer price. Then that also should be compared with the market price. Then that is the best practice to be followed by each and every company. Then thereby they can minimize their expenditure. Recently Tata company has during this pandemic, the Tata company has introduced a scheme for a policy, HR policy for most of its branches to stay to its employees to stay home, and that is work from home policy. So it identified that where its inefficiency lies or where it spends more, it spends more on rentals of by paying huge rent to its office buildings, by paying huge expenditure on its furniture, by paying huge amount on electricity, by huge expenditure, by making huge expenditure on maintenance of the buildings, decorating the buildings, furniture, spending furniture maintenance. So all these cost escalates, and which further reduces its profit. So in order to increase its profit, each and every company has to minimize its cost. Then only the company can become successful in its endeavor, each and every endeavor. So the Tata company has taken that initiative. So each and every company has to identify where it goes wrong, if it profits diminishes or decreases. So next one is the elimination of profit elements from stock is to learn in this method of costing. So stock is to be profit element from stock is to be eliminated. That also should be studied in this case. Next one, to obtain accurate average cost, it is necessary for the company to measure the production at various stages of manufacture. So for each and every production stage, the company has to find out the average cost. As all the input cost, many expenditure may or not be fully allocated to finished stock. Some may be in work in progress. The calculation of effective unit is to learn in this method of costing. Next one, different products with or without byproducts or simultaneously producing at one or more stages or processes of manufacture. The valuation of byproducts and apportionment of the joint cost before the point of separation is an important aspect of this method of costing. In certain industries, byproducts may require further processing before they can be sold out. The main product of one firm may be the byproduct of another firm, and in certain circumstances it may be available in the market at prices which are lower than the cost to the first mentioned firm. So it is essential therefore that this cost this cost should be known so that the advantages can be considered in these market conditions. And in process costing, as we knew, the output is uniform and all the units are identical during one or more processes. So the cost per unit of production can be ascertained only by averaging the expenditure incurred during a particular product. So in this case we have to very important points while finding out the process costing. It is different from job order costing or any other type of costing. The output of the first process becomes the input of the next unit, next process, and the products are identical. And while manufacturing one product, sometimes you may get the byproducts, sometimes some products may not have the byproducts. And while finding out the price should be not at all considered as cost price. It should be considered as transfer price from one process to another. While transferring the finished goods from one first process to the next process, the cost should be considered as transfer cost. The transfer price should be considered. And finally, in order to find out the total cost, the cost would be average. Then we find out the finished goods PCA. Then for referring, we can have these references.